And we begin tonight with a story that is positively Wisconsin. A church volunteer is preserving history one fix-it job at a time.
You're about to see some of his extraordinary accomplishments that took years to complete, yet he never agreed to talk about it until now. When the bells ring at Zion Lutheran Church in Appleton, you can thank retired electrical engineer Gary Newman.
They didn't function anymore because they weren't maintained.
He's 80 years young and for years now has quietly been going about fixing anything that needs it.
They needed help, and I like rebuilding old things and whatever.
If it meant driving halfway across the country for pipes to replace this treasured organ, Newman did it.
This all came out of a church in Elmira, New York.
Wow. Or climbing all the way up the bell tower day after day to get the clock and bells working again. How many hours do you think?
Oh, I don't know, several hundred. It was a labor of love more than anything.
Not to mention saving the church tens of thousands of dollars in parts and labor and preserving this historic landmark for the entire community.
I believe since many were of German heritage, they wanted to replicate like the cathedral feelings of the Europeans with the, the architecture, the stained glass. The cornerstone was laid in 1902, and we have had the pleasure of worshiping in here ever since that time.
Well, the interesting part of these old churches is the woodwork.
To get a true sense of Gary's commitment, you have to walk in his footsteps, and we mean a lot of footsteps. You'd be hard-pressed to find a place in the church where Gary's hands haven't done wonders.
Here, right there.
He's got a sentimental attachment to the bell tower. It's where he and his sweetheart engraved their initials long ago.
September 4th, 1965.
And where he labored to keep the original bells from the threat of automated sound.
They're beautiful old pieces of machinery.
What drives you to do it?
What's fun? And it's something that works. When you're done, it works. It sounds beautiful when the bells ring.
We're not just talking about hundreds upon hundreds of volunteer hours, but we're talking cramped quarters in very cold conditions, and yet Gary remains very humble about what he's done for this church.
You can imagine working in here when we put this all together.
No, I can't imagine. How did you do it?
Off on your back, on your belly.
And you got the four-phase clock working, which didn't work.
Tom Reinke can't sing Gary's praises enough, but worries about how long his boyhood church can hold up.
And right here is where, if you look up, there's paint coming from the roof or the ceiling here.
But that hole is about, 10 by 12 or so.
Gary showed us the problem, a huge leak right in the center of the church's roof. This kind of repair work will require a professional.
I guess faith is our business, and that's why we're here. We have the belief that with hard work and a lot of prayer and a lot of willing hands, we can get it done.
And so to make sure all the money the church is raising goes to fixing the leak, Gary volunteers to do all the other stuff, like refurbishing the bowling alley in the basement. Some might say only in Wisconsin. We say positively Wisconsin.
It's just a gift to the congregation and people I love, and love of old things, buildings and things. Like old guys like old cars, it's that type of thing.
And Gary's not done. He's added another project, restoring the beautiful stained glass windows, which require careful maintenance so those little chips don't become much larger breaks. Again, Gary will do what he can with his own hands to help wherever he can.